The most explosive athletes are fast. They have fast twitch muscle fibers. We're gonna show you how to build the engine for explosive speed, and we're gonna start right now. You all know the importance and the role that squatting plays in developing strength and even developing athleticism. But what if I told you that there's a way to squat that will make you even more explosive than traditional squats? That secret is known as unbroken squats. Unbroken squats are done without pausing at the top. And if I was to do a traditional squat, it might look like this. I'm gonna go down, and I'm gonna pause at the top. Now, an unbroken squat is gonna look like a piston that's going to fire repetitively. We want our athletes or our individuals to fire as quickly as possible with a heavy load on their back. It's gonna look more like this. The biggest part around unbroken squats is that you're forcing yourself to recruit high threshold motor units. It's gonna get you to be more active in the bottom, and it's gonna get you to recruit at a higher rate, which in turn will help that rate coding. Olympic weightlifters are some of the most explosive athletes in the entire world. And it's no secret that they tend to squat with a high bar and they squat full range of motion. Olympic weightlifters also tend to squat over triple body weight, 4 reps through that full range of motion, and they do something very, very unique. The most explosive athletes tend to squat with an unbroken tempo. The unbroken tempo requires a ton of speed. It requires a ton of tension. It also requires a ton of intent. It's gonna force the athlete to be a little bit more focused on that trunk control. It's gonna help optimize their overall mobility. It's going to drastically improve their rate coding. And we've talked about rate coding in previous videos, where rate coding is essentially like smashing that button on a PlayStation game to go as fast as possible. It's what we're doing for our nervous system. So if we can optimize rate coding and we can use exercises like unbroken tempo squats, that will lead to greater performance for the athlete. That will lead to more explosive athletes. And so we've got to use this and understand this concept as we start to integrate this into our overall training. So you're probably saying, unbroken back squats, I can dig it. Is that really all there is to being more explosive as an athlete? And my response would be no. What we can do is provide multiple different variations when we're doing unbroken back squats or when we're doing other variations around squatting, and that can lead to better adaptations around athleticism. You can use double bounce squats, and this is gonna help improve that motor unit recruitment in the bottom because of the stretch shortening cycle. It's gonna improve your overall dynamic trunk control. You can do unbroken front squats, another really, really challenging method of squatting that will lead to drastic improvement in speed and also athleticism. You can use front squats with a double bounce. This is gonna help you be very, very tense out of that bottom position. It's going to enhance that stiffness that in turn will obviously lead to greater dynamic trunk control and better agility. You can do unbroken goblet squats. This is also an easier variation that you can use at the end of a workout. It will improve your mobility and your overall speed. You can do heels elevated unbroken squats. This is something that you can do if you want to target those quads. If you've got really long legs and it's hard to isolate those quads, unbroken heel elevated squats are absolutely phenomenal. And then finally, single leg unbroken squats. This is one of my all-time favorite methods that we use to improve trunk control, to improve unilateral strength, and in an overall fashion, drastically improve athleticism. We're gonna give away 1 free shirt to anyone who won. Comments down below. 2, make sure that all of your channel notifications are active. And 3, show up to our Tuesday YouTube public live. So oftentimes athletes who are extraordinarily strong tend to have issues with becoming more athletic, but there's a really unique way, there's a couple of unique methods that we can use to help improve their overall athleticism. I'm gonna share a story here about AJ. AJ was a shot putter who came into us and he could squat an absolute house. Now, the issue was he wasn't the greatest shot putter. He wasn't that good, but we knew that he had a large depth of overall absolute strength. So what we needed to do was create clear communication in his nervous system so that he could improve his overall athleticism. And what we wanted to do was try to use whatever his method of strength was, in this case, his back squat, to try and backdoor him to now become more athletic, which in turn, ideally, if the training would uphold, into a better thrower. So he had to become more explosive, he had to become faster, he had to become twitchier, more athletic, more elastic. So what we used to start off was a traditional contrast method. I'm gonna demonstrate quickly. So we would have AJ come in, say, okay, AJ, let's hit a set of 3 back squats unbroken, okay? So we're trying to trigger his rate coding to fire a little bit quicker. So we can do a triple here. Now, I'll put this, and we would say, AJ, okay, let's rest 45 to 60 seconds, and then we might do box jumps, and we wanna land stiff-legged, really tall. So we're here, boom, boom, boom. So that's a traditional contrast method. Now we might rest about 2.5 minutes. As AJ started to progress and become more elastic, become more athletic, what we wanted to do then was hit that same back squat. And this is where the garage strength contrast method comes into play. This is something that we use inside of our app Peak Strength. This is what we've used with athletes like Sam Mattis, with athletes like Nick Singleton, to develop them over a long period of time to get them to the top of their game. So inside of Peak Strength, you might go in and hit a training program where you're gonna do a leg power day, and then as you go through that week, you hit an upper body power day, an athlete day, and then we get into impulse day. And impulse day plays a pivotal role. In season, we want to train our athletes to be more explosive and to be more athletic. And what we can do then is, in that in-season training, is to focus on something like the garage strength contrast method. So we hit that back squat here for a set of 2 to 3 reps as fast as possible. Maybe it's 2 to 3 reps at around 70 to 75% of our max. And then we come over and we hit a reflexive movement. We can just do a simple drop dumbbell here, boom, boom, into a hip lock position. Okay, so we want to do something creative, training through various degrees, various angles, various joint angles, go into some type of force absorption that also leads to some type of hip co-contraction and trunk control. Okay, here, boom, boom. So we might do a set of 2 to 3 on each side. Then we're gonna rest 2 to 2.5 minutes. Let our nervous system recover, try to really focus on that rate coding, and then get back into the back squats. Now, we talked about doing this inside of our app, Peak Strength. You guys can head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. You can download Peak Strength today for 5 free workouts. Let's take us back to that story about AJ. What happened to AJ? Now, coincidentally, AJ is a Division I shot putter, tearing it up in his conference and becoming more explosive, becoming stronger, and absolutely crushing bombs as he continuously uses that big depth of back squat strength that he has to continuously develop that overall speed and acceleration in the shot circle. One of the other aspects around Peak Strength is that we use very unique reps and sets. Okay, rep schemes tend to be very unique, but they play a pivotal role in improving overall strength and athleticism. And that takes us into some unique methods around increasing overall explosiveness. One of the big aspects that a lot of elite level athletes use is that they have to lift heavy freaking weight. So if we're looking at doing unbroken sets, let's say that we're doing actually unbroken doubles, okay? So we can build up over 4, 5, 6, 7 sets of 2 and just slowly build up over time. One of my other favorite things to do is actually use the static protocol. So static might mean we're going to establish around 85 to 90% of our max back squat, and we're gonna do that for 6 sets of 2 the entire way across. We're gonna use the exact same weight and repetitively hit that every single set. And we're gonna focus on doing that unbroken as quickly as possible. Now, that's gonna take us into 2 other very unique rep schemes. The next rep scheme could be known as a cluster set. This is when we're gonna start to get into, okay, let's do 5 doubles, and we hit a double, okay, rest 30 seconds and we hit that double again. We rest 30 seconds, we hit that double again. We rest 30 seconds, we hit that double again. And we do that 5 times. And then we're gonna rest about 3 to 4.5 minutes. and then we'll do 5 singles on that backside of that cluster set. So we end up doing 10 sets at a very high weight. But that's gonna teach our athlete how to express that blast impulse over a long period of time. So the blast impulse is going to increase and power endurance is gonna increase. And one of my new favorite methods to use is myo reps, okay? Myo reps is a new method of rep schemes where we're seeing pushing an 8 to 12 rep max, okay, with a couple reps left in the tank, and then we're gonna drop down to that traditional cluster set setup. That's another way to optimize our elasticity, another way to increase our overall strength, which ultimately is going to lead to becoming more explosive. These are some of the key reps and sets that some of the most explosive athletes in the entire world use to develop their agility, to develop their elasticity and their overall athleticism. If you guys need help with your programming, make sure you head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. You can download Peak Strength today for easy access to freak training. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.